So hello and welcome to this quick tutorial inside of Blender with Octane, where we want to take a look at how to create this chipped off metal paint material. And it's actually not that complicated, so let's start. So my scene consists only out of my object that I want to apply the material to and a simple HDRI, so nothing complicated there. So as you can see on the left-hand side in the rendered view right now, the object has no longer the chipped off metal paint material, so we can start creating the material all over again. So we will start by going into the shader editor up here and setting the shader editor at object. When the shader editor is set to object, then we will have this new button up here that we can click. And now Blender with Octane will automatically create a universal material for our object that we have selected. We don't want this universal material, so we click on it. You can see by the white outline that our universal material is selected, and we press delete. That is leaving us with the material output node, and this is exactly what we are going for. Okay, so next we will have to add in another node, and we do that by pressing Shift A, and we will search for a mix material node. There it is. We click on it, and then we can put it where we want it to be. In our case, we want to plug the material out of the mix material into the surface connector of our material output node. Perfect. Now we will add two materials that we can plug into the second material and the first material connector of the material or the mix material node. And we will start by adding in one of the metallic materials. So we have to press Shift A again, Octane material down here, and in here we have the metallic material, just like that. Now we can take this and plug it into the second material connector for now. And inside of this, we can leave everything as is for now, because I'm going for this silver look that we already achieved with this material. Okay, so we will do the same thing over again. Shift A, material, and in here we go to the metallic material. Just like that. We take the material out of our second material and we plug it into the first material mix connector for the mix material. Perfect. Now our object is completely silver, and that's of course not what we want. So in order to change the color of our metallic material, we will need an RGB color, and we do that by pressing Shift A again and searching for RGB color down here. And we take this and we will plug the texture out of our RGB color into the specular color. And if I change the value in here to a dark green, for example, you see that a greenish tint is appearing on our metallic material. But of course, the green looks vastly different to the green value that we put in with the RGB color node. And that's because the mix material is actually mixing our silver metallic material with our green metallic material. And that's not what we are looking for. And because of that, we have to change a little bit of the mixing properties over here. We do that by going into the Shift A menu again, And now I want a gradient map. And this gradient map is basically only a tool to manipulate the input that we want to put into the mixed material node for the amount. So we take the texture out of the gradient map and we put it into the amount connector of our mixed material node. And now we will have to add in another node, and this will be a noise texture. So Shift A again, and we look for the noise texture over here. We will take the texture out of our noise texture and we put it into the input texture collector, just right here. And you can see on the left hand side that the distribution of our two metallic materials has changed a bit. There are spots where the green is more present than in other spots, and that's the look that we are going for. A little bit like, I don't know, one of these patterns that these military patterns, yeah, just a bit like that. I also want to have a little bit more control over the noise texture in order to scale our noise texture a bit. And for that, we will click on the UVW transform right here. And this will give us this 3D transformation tool. And in here, we can change the scale right now. And I want to put it to 3.7. Okay. So far so good. Now we have to change something in our noise texture node. In here I want to go into the contrast and I want to set the contrast to 15. And we can see that the green is getting more separated from the silver metallic material, and that's exactly where we want to go with this. So if I go into the RGB color value down here again, and I turn down the color a bit, then we can see the change quite drastically. I also want to take the two color values in my gradient map over here, and I want to bring them together almost in the middle, but that's not really the most important thing. The most important thing is that depending on how smooth you want the transition of the green metallic material and the silver metallic material to be, you can control that by putting the two color values in here further together or further apart from each other. And in my case, I want a pretty sharp transition between the two, and this will be achieved by these two color values being closely together. Okay, I also want to get a more rough green metallic material. So in the roughness, we will change the value. And in my case, I want to put it to 0.34, just like that. And we can also take the green a little bit further down in order to get a more desaturated green. So perfect. And now we will take the last step for our material, because we want to actually take the output of our gradient map over here, and we want to plug this into the bump of our green metallic material. So if I take the texture out of the gradient map and plug it into the bump connector, then we will see that there is a slight bump or a little height difference when it comes to our material. We can make it a little bit more visible when we change these two values in here, because you will see that there also is appearing a little gradient when it comes to the height of our two materials separating from each other. I think if I zoom in here, you can see the effect quite well. If I pull the two values out, then there is a much smoother transition of the height as well. Okay, so I will put these a little bit closer together again. And just like that, we basically have created our little chipped off metallic paint material. I hope you could follow along and this tutorial helped you out. So please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. I see you next time and have fun with Blender and Octane.